But let's go ahead and end the podcast talking about another NFL draft topic. This time it's a team-specific topic here on the podcast. And this one, I'm going to be completely honest, is reactionatory or a reactive topic from this weekend's games. But before I get into everything, make sure to check us out on Twitter. I'm at Ricky Widmer. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Follow us there for all the updates on MVP. And then for myself, I'm giving my opinions on sports and everything under the Two Nerdy Sun. So go ahead and follow me there and react with me during football games, draft topics, questions, anything you want. Go ahead and tweet at me at Ricky Widmer. But let's dive into this one. And we're talking about the Jets, Jets. And maybe I was focusing a lot on this game because I'm in the fantasy playoffs and Sam Darnold was the quarterback I was starting. But man, those Jet wide receivers, they dropped a lot of passes this week. So the thing I was kind of thinking of is, should the Jets use their first round pick on a wide receiver? Because this year, the first round is going to be littered. Literally littered. Say that 10 times fast. Literally littered. I can't even say it one time slow. With wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy should be a first rounder. Harry Ruggs the third should be a first rounder. CeeDee Lamb should be a first rounder. Laviska Shenault, who declared for the draft this week, should be a first rounder. T. Higgins should be a first rounder, and even Jalen Reagor from TCU could find his way into the first round when it's all said and done. That's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6 wide receivers going in the first 32 picks of the NFL draft. Let me pull out my calculator really quick. I should be able to do this in my head, but I can't. That is 18%, almost 19% of the picks in the first round would be wide receivers then of that point. Add in any tight ends that are taken, that's even more receivers that are going. And the Jets right now, I mean, long season to go, they sit at 9th. They're right now tied at 4-8 with Jacksonville, the Chargers, and Denver because of the tie-breaking procedures, which is strength of schedule first. That's where they sit. So Jaguars beat them out and got the 8th pick. But, I mean, you look at, first off, I'll pull up their upcoming schedule that they have. I thought I had their ESPN page up, but I guess I don't. But their upcoming schedule, because they have, 4 games left? 4 games left. They play the Dolphins, Ravens, Steelers, and Bills. So this is easily a team, in my mind, that could, I mean, yes, they were on a heater before this past week, but they could easily go 1-3 or 2-2 in the next 4. Ravens, I don't think they win. Bills, I don't think they win. Dolphins, I think they win, but yet again, the Dolphins got to win this past week against the Eagles. I believe they won that game. Did they win that game? Man, I know they were winning that game. Yeah, they won 37-31. That's another one. I was focusing more on the Eagles than I was on the Jets because Alshon Jeffrey was on my fantasy team. But the Dolphins, I could see them beating. The other 3, I could see them losing, or they go 0-4 if the Dolphins can get a win against them. So if they go 0-4, they're a team that you're looking at as a 4-win team. If they win 1, they're a 5-win team. There's a possibility then that they could be 8th, 7th, or even 6th on this board. Even 4th or even 5th if the Falcons go on a little bit of a run to end the year. But really, I see them around 7, 8, 9 is where they're going to land. They're in this spot already. And wide receiver is not a huge need for them. The biggest needs are offensive line, edge rusher, and I think linebacker for them. No, cornerback for them. So defense is kind of a big need. Wide receiver is not there. However, I look at their roster, and besides Jamison Crowder, Robbie Anderson, who's 26 right now, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And also, Demaryius Thomas is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So the way I look at it is most people are going to put AJ Epinesa or Epinesa, AJ Epinesa as the pick here. That, hey, go with the edge rusher. That and quarterback are the two most important positions in the NFL. And I would not disagree with you there. If AJ Epinesa is there, the Jets, it would be very who of them to make that pick. However, there's a side of me, a devil's advocate side, that's like, you know what? Go wide receiver. Go wide receiver. Because Robbie Anderson, to me, isn't the best wide receiver. He's done at the end of the year. Yeah, he's 26, depending on what contract you can get him at, because right now he's making about, let's see, his contract is just over $3 million. How much more is that contract going to inflate up to? Because he's not going to be making tons of money. He's not going to be making $10 million like Jamison Crowder will be making next year. And he could possibly want to raise. Demaryius Thomas also is 31 right now. He's getting old. So do you even want to bring back Demaryius Thomas to where I look at it and I'm like, if CeeDee Lamb is there, because odds are CeeDee Lamb could possibly, even CeeDee Lamb, or if a Harry Ruggs or a T. Higgins, there's going to be somebody there for you to take. Part of me goes, if CeeDee Lamb, he's the one I'm looking at because he's probably the one that's a top 10 pick outside of Jerry Jeudy. If he's there, I find it hard to pass on CeeDee Lamb because then you could have Jamison Crowder, who's had a nice year this year, match him up with a nice deep threat, give Sam Darnold a phenomenal deep threat in CeeDee Lamb, and go from there. However, the question that you have to answer, and Jet fans, let me know what you are thinking, is that enough of a probability or possibility to forego the edge rusher? Because that's, to me, the big one. Like, offensive line, I don't think you're going to get Andrew Thomas, so really there's no need to look at offensive line here, unless you're going to go with a Wirfs out of Iowa. Besides that, like, you're not going to get a cornerback here. I mean, Delpit is a safety, not a cornerback, so that kind of defeats that right there. The top-end cornerback, then, that you're looking at is Jeffrey Okudah from Ohio State. He's probably going to be a top fiver, so he'll be taken probably before you. So cornerback will be taken. The offensive line will be taken. That just leaves either Epinesa or the wide receiver. And to me, that's what it comes down to. What do you value more? And I feel like, where would the Jets' second round pick be? Let's go full order. Their second pick would be the 40th overall pick. So if we're looking wide receivers, then that means that, let's say Jalen Reagor slides down. Right now he's 38th on the mock draft for Tankathon. Let's say he slides down. He could even be in that area. You also got Justin Jefferson, who could be there. Tyler Johnson from Minnesota. So, I mean, those names that I just mentioned, obviously not the same category as CeeDee Lamb, but it's what are your priorities in the first round? Do you want to get that pass rusher and then take a wide receiver like Reagor, Johnson, or Jefferson, in the second round? Or do you go all in on that wide receiver at 9, and then your edge rusher that you're looking at is probably like at 40 you could go with maybe a Julian Akwara from Notre Dame. You could possibly go with Kalavin Cassian from LSU, maybe a Terrell Lewis from Alabama. Those would kind of be the guys there. So it's really, what position are you willing to go with the secondary guys on? And me, I love AJ Epinesa. I do. Seeing what he could do this year, I think he's a phenomenal pick. Not as good as Chase Young in my mind, but still a phenomenal edge rusher. I would almost, though, I look at the secondary wide receivers, and I don't like them as much as I like CeeDee Lamb. So if I'm the Jets, here's what I do. Robbie Anderson will be interesting. You try to bring him back on the cheap, on the low. Demaryius Thomas, I let walk. He's too old. I can draft a wide receiver in the draft to kind of grow and take over his spot. I'm going to go bold. I'm going to pass on Epinesa in the first round. I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb. And then I can go with an Akwara maybe in the second round. Go with the Cassian from LSU. Go with the secondary pass rusher because I can get a guy like CeeDee Lamb in the first. The thing that I think this Jets team is in dire need of is they need to give their Batman a Robin. They need to give Sam Darnold a wide receiver that he can rely on game in and game out. Crowder's been good this year, but Crowder's nothing special. He only has just over 500 yards this year. Robbie Anderson has about the same, and Robbie Anderson catches the ball at a less percentage than Jamison Crowder. I think CeeDee Lamb could be the guy. CeeDee Lamb, you could draft him. He can be your for sure number one. Grow into that role. Grow into that with your young Sam Darnold. Boom. Now you have an offense that can probably put points on the board because this defense is strong. This defense has some good pieces. You don't necessarily need an Epinesa. You direly need a CeeDee Lamb. So that's why with me right now, I'm thinking I would maybe lean wide receiver because of the need at wide receiver I think is greater based off of the free agency. Robbie Anderson could be gone. Demaryius Thomas could be gone. That leaves you with some holes in the wide receiver core, whereas defensively, you might not have those holes. Let me pull up the defensive line really quick. Yeah, your only free agents that you have on the defensive line are Copeland and then not even Charles Tapper. Yeah, Copeland's the only one that you have. And then you even look at the linebackers like Jordan Jenkins, you have Hewitt, and then McLean are the only ones, or Albert McLean, only ones that you have on free agency. I don't think Bello, Louvie, or Love, or Warlow, they're not anything to write home about right now. So really there's no big losses defensively. That wide receiver one could be, and CeeDee Lamb could fit a hole, could grow into a role that you desperately need on this team. So for me, that's my pick. I think CeeDee Lamb's there. I'm going ahead and taking him. I'll look for pass rusher in the second round, which would right now be around the 40th pick. But this is what you guys come in, or this is where you guys come in. Let me know what you guys think down below in that comment section. Jet fans, why am I an idiot for passing on pass rusher? I know there's one of you out there that thinks I'm an idiot for passing on the pass rusher. Let me know why. Let me know what you would do. What are you doing with your first round pick? Right now would be the 9th overall pick. Let me know what you're doing down below in that comment section. Also, thank you for checking out the podcast today. If you're on YouTube, make sure to check out the other 2 segments that I had. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Ricky Widmer. Follow Most Valuable Podcast on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That link down below in the description. We cannot do what we do each and every week without the love and support from our patrons. So go ahead and join our Patreon family. Link down below in the description. Want to thank you guys yet again for watching, subscribing, listening. I will be here next week. Actually, Dave and Sean will be with me. We'll be in the MVP studio because we're recording our first 1.0 NBA mock draft. So that should be a fun time. Full 1 through 30 mock draft for the 2020 year. Cannot wait to go get it. That'll be next week before I come back with the weekly episodes here on the channel. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure to support us on Patreon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, have a good day, everybody.